item 4.4, our student athlete academic performance report. We'll welcome back our friend Carlisle, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
President Himmelstein, Chancellor Scott, members of the Board of Governors, I really want to thank you for taking a break after that cheery budget report before I came up before you for this presentation. It seems like it's a constant challenge. Well, good afternoon, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you with what I hope you will find not only informative, but encouraging news on the academic performance of California Community College student athletes. In recent years, there has been an increased focus on two-year colleges, as you well know, from a variety of sources, from the Obama's administration calling for 5 million more graduates by 2020, to what seems like a never-ending thread of articles either praising or condemning opportunities and or outcomes at the two-year level. It's almost a daily occurrence in the internet to find an article that either praises what's going on or condemns, like the lack of minority students transferring from California community colleges. We've also had a significant amount of resources devoted to a number of reports and white papers from the AACC's completion agenda, a call to action, that follow-up report on the 21st Century Initiative and the listening tour, and within our own system, a tremendous amount of resources that have gone into enhancing or improving the basic skills area. Also, the Commission on the Future report, which identified a number of areas that we need to improve upon. And lastly, and something I will focus in on the end of the presentation, the most recent finalized recommendations for student success. And what I hope to present to you today is a data-driven support for what the Student Success Task Force has recommended. In 2010, the California Community College Athletic Association Board of Directors commissioned a report by the California Partnership for Achieving Student Success, or CalPAS, in conjunction with the Institute for Evidence-Based Change, and by consulting with our Committee on Academic and Athletic Standards. This study would not have happened if it was not for the cooperation and support from Barry Russell and Patrick Perry and the Chancellor's Office, because we are working with the data that's housed in the Chancellor's Office MIS system. Some of the specs of the study, I'll quickly go through this. We'll run through the hors d'oeuvres and get to the main course here fairly quickly. All 103 intercollegiate colleges within our system that offer collegiate sports consented to participate. CalPAS has memorandums of understanding with all of the districts, and in order for this to occur and get buy-in, we had to get consent from all 103 colleges that have athletic programs. The student athletes were identified by using our online eligibility forms, and CalPAS matched those individuals with those that are in the Chancellor's Office MIS so that we could actually disaggregate that group and have a comparison group. The comparison group are the non-student athletes ages 17 to 24 that are full-time students. Included all the community college with athletic programs. We disaggregated the student athlete cohort from the non-student athlete population, forming the comparison group. Providing statewide averages on specific criteria to include GPA, success, completion, transfer, and so on. We also the CalPAS has developed a SMART tool. That SMART tool is an online product that allows each one of our campuses or colleges to go in and look at their own data. We can look at statewide data at our office, and each district and each college has the ability to access their own data. We try to match the same terminology that's currently in use within the system so that members within the system would not be fighting with a definition or a terminology that would be unlike what they're currently using. Success was passing or a C or better. The GPA is a true GPA, which is a grade points divided by attempted units. Now, this is an important distinction in this particular slide. Athlete first time. We have about 30 million records in the database. From a student athlete standpoint, we started 2004-05 and ended with 2009-10. So all of the data, for instance, a student that was a first-time student athlete in 07-08, the data that's available follows that student 07-08, 08-09, 9-10. So it's 3 years worth of tracking data. We're in the process now of uploading the 10-11 data. So this will be an ongoing project, and our members will be able to track what's going on with their student athletes and their academic performance from here on out. Some of the summary from the study is that on average, student athletes have higher outcomes than the comparison group. I know some people may find that surprising, but the data is the data. In terms of GPA, transfer ready, degree, and what we're finding, which is also very encouraging, is that ethnic student athletes or student athletes from different demographic groups are also outperforming those of the same ethnic group in the comparison group. Student athlete subgroups vary within the cohort between sport groups. It's probably not surprising that women student athletes do better than male student athletes on average. Also, there are certain sports that do better than others. What I will say are country club sports, golf, tennis, swimming and diving. Those student athletes have a tendency to do better than the team athletes, basketball, football, wrestling, for instance. So we're looking at ways of improving those that aren't doing as well and trying to get at that. All right, here's a little bit for you to chew on. You'll note at the bottom of the chart, we have 04-05 data. On the left-hand side, we have the athlete group, female athletes, as compared to the female non-athletes. You'll also note, as you go up and get closer to the current year, the student athlete group seems to be getting better. They're trending upward. The opposite appears to be true with the non-student athlete group. And on the right-hand side, you'll notice that the male athletes seem to be trending that same way. This one may not be as hard to see, but I think you have the slides in front of you in a paper form. This is the GPA student athlete by gender, by ethnicity. And as I said, the I think the evidence is there that from an ethnic standpoint, student athletes are performing better than the non-student athlete population. The next slide, we're looking at degree or community college outcome. The same thing applies there. If you note, as we said earlier, we're looking at 3 years' worth of data for the 07-08 athlete. So if you look at the 07-08 numbers, you'll see, for instance, African-American males, and this is just the male table, a 13% completed versus 3% on the non-student athlete population. That's after 3 years. If you go up to 08-09, which would only be 2 years, you'll see that an African-American male is at 6%, and the non-student athlete is at 1%. So after 3 years, there's a significant increase. One thing that we have noted, however, is that since student athletes only get 2 years of eligibility at our level, and in some cases, they will be with the program for 3 years, that after they lose their eligibility, we seem to lose them. I think we need to understand that, students come to us for a lot of different reasons, that student athletes are motivated to participate. And sometimes when that is no longer available to them, their academic performance falls off. What we need to do as an organization is to do more to encourage them to complete more in that time span so that they can at least get the AA degree before moving on. And the board, who is chaired by Brian King at Cabrillo College, is investigating that with the Academic and Athletic Standards Committee and how we can better have better policies, better regulations that are going to move students faster toward completion. The next slide is the same slide, but for women. And you'll notice that there's a significant increase with the 3-year versus the 2-year. And the totals on the bottom is an average of all of the ethnic groups that are there, 21% versus 9%. If you have any questions as we're going along, feel free. Yes, sir.
But individuals who compete in athletics in the community college do not necessarily have to have an AA degree to transfer.
That is correct.
So you're listing are you listing degrees or transfers here?
Well, no, these are the students that are completing. These are the ones that get the AA degree.
Yeah. Now, of course, we're moving to create a transfer degree, but unfortunately, some of our colleges, have in the past added on courses that don't necessarily one has to have in order to transfer. So if you're an athlete, and let's say, I don't frankly know what Aaron Rodgers did at Butte College, but in order to get into Cal, he didn't have to have an AA degree, he just had to have the number of units necessary to transfer, right?
That's correct. And as we said, students come to us for all different reasons. We have student athletes, or maybe athlete students. I was a 2-year college student to start out, from a single parent family, not really sure what I wanted to do. A basketball coach came to me and convinced me to come to the college to play basketball. A political science professor convinced me that there was more to me than just basketball. So when they come to us, that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that whatever motivates them to come to us should be irrelevant. It's what we do with them once they get to us.
I guess what I'm trying to say, though, to me, someone who transfers, even if without an AA degree, and goes on and gets a BA degree, he's a fairly successful student.
Extremely successful student. And we have a number of students who could qualify to get the degree and never apply for it. So those numbers are lost. We're getting these numbers from the MIS system where the AAs or the ASs have actually been granted. So that's where this data is coming from. Aaron Rodgers came to Butte as a 3.8 student out of high school. He needed athletic development, not academic development. He was able to go to Cal after their first year. So we have many students that come to us for a variety of reasons. And as you know, remediation now, the more students we get, the more we see that are in need of remediation. I want to keep rolling here. Yes.
Well, with CalPass, aren't you able to tell who does get their 4-year degree?
Unfortunately, CalPass only has a partnership with about 12 institutions in the state. Many of our students will transfer out of state, and I believe the clearinghouse wants 50 cents a record for access to that data. We're looking for a grant so that we can track our students that go outside of the state or those that aren't partners with CalPass.
Or
But-
just to do some preliminary studies with those 12 schools, just to get a sense of, because it sounds like your numbers will be even better.
Well, in fact, toward the end, I will show you that we do have access to those schools that are 4-year within the state that CalPass has partnerships. We're able to follow the student athletes.
Great, thank you.
This is the transfer ready table, and you can probably see it better on your paper copy than on the screen. You'll notice that as far as transfer ready goes, again, the last year in the data is 9-10. So in 08-09, only 16% of female athletes were transfer ready versus 6%. It jumped to 25% as we go further away with 2 years, 3 years. And as I indicated earlier, it seems like the motivation kind of when a student athlete loses their eligibility, you'll notice that there's only a 1% difference on the female side from 07-08 to 6-7. Some of the conclusions: student athletes are motivated to perform academically because we have eligibility requirements. They must be full-time. By their second season, they must have 24 units at a 2.0. We've heard the phrase, students don't do optional. And that's certainly not optional. Given adequate resources, student athletes can outperform the non-student athlete population. Now, all of our colleges with athletic programs have a mechanism for assessing both the student athlete and, like non-student athlete, academic performance utilizing the CalPass online smart tool. The one thing that we're pleased about is that in many opportunities, many initiatives we have around the state, colleges are stuck because they have to add resources in order to utilize them. In this particular case, the only resource that's needed is time, because the tool is available online, and all you have to do is spend a little time with the click of a mouse. Now, lastly, what I'd like to do is quickly run through some of the areas of the Student Success Task Force recommendations. In terms of, I'm sure you're aware of those, the diagnostic assessment and complete IEP. We do have a need for a standard assessment tool. Believe it or not, coaches are competitive. And if a student assesses at a certain level at one college, a college coach at another college may convince that student to go there because they may not have to meet that same level. We do require that students' IEPs are done within the first semester of their first competition. Lack of college readiness to participate in the support resources. We have a proposal in front of the NCAA right now that would allow students to have an academic year of readiness that would be off of their eligibility clock, essentially giving them a free year to work on basic skills. There are some other items that align with the Student Success Task Force recommendations, and those are in your slides. If I might, I just want to show you one thing that will give you a good idea of the power of this particular program. If you can see this, what's on the screen, there are different dimensions that are available, from the course counts, GPAs at the university level, retention rates, success rates. The athlete college can be broken out by college. They can be broken out by sport. If a college wanted to identify how their student athletes in basketball, for instance, are doing in a particular English class versus the non-student athletes, they could do that. And it's, all we have to do is get people to apply for permission to access the data at the college level, and they can be granted that, and they can continue to follow their student success.
Okay. Thank you very much. Board members, questions or comments? Member McDougall.
Just a comment and then a question. Comment, really appreciate all of your efforts and others on the athletic committee that are pushing this. I think it is extremely important, and I think all of us are very impressed with the effort that is being focused on our athletes and academic achievement. My understanding is that in addition, you provide awards for each of the various teams, like the school that performed the best in the state for, let's say, basketball, the highest grade point average for men and women. Can you say a little bit about your awards program? Because I think that kind of is a foundational activity to support these kind of results being achieved.
We have annually Scholar Athlete Awards. Our male scholar athlete will be coming from Bakersfield College, recognized as the top male scholar athlete in the state. A young lady from Taft College will be recognized as the female scholar athlete of the year. We also have honor roll for students that are from a conference that also qualify, and we also have scholar teams that we recognize. We will have an awards luncheon, and you're all invited to attend at our upcoming convention that'll be held in the first week in April. And I believe the Scholar Athlete Luncheon is on the 4th, and it's in San Mateo at the San Mateo Marriott. What we try to do is recognize the scholastic side of their achievements, and we have several colleges that take a lot of pride in being on that list year after year after year. And all of that information is available on our website, cccaasports.org, and you'll find the release on the scholar athletes as well as the scholar teams. One interesting item that just came up within the last week, a student athlete was recognized. She's the top cross-country runner in the state, came to this country as a 2-year-old illegally, and has a 3.8, or 3.5, excuse me, 3.5, is involved in community activities, was pulled over with her boyfriend and didn't have papers, and was scheduled to come up for deportation. And thankfully, a federal judge dismissed the case. So that young lady who has a lot of scholarship offers to the next level, it's all about what we're trying to do in this organization, which is providing opportunities for students.
Carlisle, thanks very much for your report and information. Much appreciated. Please keep coming back to us with updates on how our student athletes are doing.
Thank you very much for your time.